He's a very, very, very manipulative guy, but it's extremely transparent. And also, I didn't like him. I didn't like him from the minute he walked in the room to the minute he waddled on out.
What he is an intellectual and a genius. The cap and everything is show. He's a genius.
How do you feel about Michael? Debbie in Grand Blanc High.
I didn't like his bashing of the area.
So you think then Michael, overall, hurt the city of Flint and the surrounding community?
Oh, certainly. So do a lot of people. And I think that's why they don't want him back here.
He's far less of a documentarian than he is a polemicist, which is actually maybe a little too kind. He's really kind of a holy roller of journalism. You know, you can believe him like you believe your preacher, but it isn't exactly as if what you're getting is information that is reliable or trustable.
How can you ignore a guy from our community who has won an Academy Award and done all of these things, had best-selling books, television shows, and, being honored by the Cannes Film Festival? And, I mean, it's just incredible. So let's talk about it. 251-1570. What do you think?
He's a very complex guy, but he's one of the most caring and giving people that I know. Yet, he can be a bit, how do you say it, megalomaniacal almost at times, or with a paranoid tinge.
I don't think there's been any more influential documentary made to the new wave of independent filmmakers than Roger made, because of all the stylistic trademarks and the entertainment value of that film have left a huge mark on the entire field since then.
Our hometown of Flint, Michigan was the birthplace of General Motors, the largest corporation in the world.
He makes no apology for making politically themed films. Quote, when in this great democracy did political become a dirty word? Well, I think that's a very good question.
People who try to fight fair in American politics are a dime a dozen. And they don't bring, millions into the theaters. Michael Moore has been able to make himself heard and has been able to land some actual punches on the backlash right.
There's Mike Moore, the guy I've always known, Mike, as I've always called him, and then there's Michael. I see this character on television, and I see him in movies, of course, but then there's Mike that I go golfing with, and really a lot of things haven't changed outside the fact that he always picks up the tab now.
You say to critics who say you manipulate facts in your film to make your point. That's true. What do you think? Film is edited. It is manipulated to present a point of view. The facts in the film are 100% completely true. I didn't put the words or the semi-words in Bush's mouth. That's him speaking. That's not me, doing a ventriloquist thing.
In Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael uses this speech.
This is an impressive crowd, the haves and the have-mores.
But he fails to mention that Bush is speaking at the Al Smith dinner, a Catholic fundraiser where politicians are supposed to tell jokes and poke fun at themselves.
Some people call you the elite. I call you my base.
It's not fair to use something said in that context to make a point that it was not intended to make, even if there's some truth behind that point.
And I see Bill Buckley's here tonight. Fellow Yale man.
Bush comes off as a guy who's capable of self-mockery, which is a very valuable political trait.
We go way back, and we have a lot in common.
And Moore comes off as someone who doesn't fight fair.
Bill wrote a book at Yale. I read one.
I think he abuses people. I would suspect that many people who have been in his films would only prefer that they had not been.
All those soldiers in my movie where I just turned the camera on and let them speak to the camera and express their disillusionment and their dissatisfaction with this war.
Sergeant Peter Damon is one of several soldiers who would have preferred not to have been in Fahrenheit 9/11. He's a staunch supporter of George Bush and the war in Iraq. Although he sued Moore and lost, he still feels helpless at how he was unwittingly portrayed by Michael Moore.
What happened was he apparently had found an interview that I had done on battlefield pain medication. When I first got back from Iraq, it was right before I was going into surgery. You can plainly see my arms, my stumps, they were kind of just sewn up. There were scars. Like I still feel like I have hands, and the pain is like my hands are being crushed in a vice. I guess the message that Michael Moore was trying to get across was that, the Bush administration is leaving all these. They don't care about the guys that are over there fighting war. They come back and they just leave them behind.
He's smart enough to very rarely say anything that is simply provably untrue. But he's very good at the suggestion to guilt by association, the manipulation of an out-of-context image.
I happen to agree with Bush's decision to go to Iraq. I think it had to be done sooner or later. I mean, I joined the military fully realizing the risks that were involved, and joining the military was the best thing I've ever done with my life.